Hi, good afternoon. This is Dr. Gauri Kulkarni here. Today, on the eve of the World Asthma Day, we'll be talking about asthma, the different symptoms and preventive measures that we can take, along in light of the COVID-19 infection that we have. So, do let me know if you can hear me well so that I can start the session. There are a couple of minutes still awaited, so I'll wait it out and then I'll start off. Good afternoon. Do let me know if you can hear me so that I know that I can start off with the session. I have about another minute or so left before we go start the session, so let me know. If you can hear me, do let me know with a message so that I can start off. Good afternoon once again. This is Dr. Gauri here. Today we'll be talking about asthma as it's the World Asthma Day, and also we'll be talking about symptomatologies of the COVID-19 infection and what we can do in these two diseases and how we can battle it. So if you can hear me, then do let me know so that I can start off with the session. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for messaging in and letting me know that you can hear me. So my name is Dr. Gauri Kulkarni. Good afternoon. I am a practicing family medicine specialist in Bangalore. I've been practicing for more than 12 years now. I basically take care of all adult illnesses, as well as I have special interests in geriatric care and palliative care as well. And today we'll be talking about asthma, about symptomatology of asthma, what we can do to prevent, what kind of treatment measures are available, and how, in the light of the COVID-19 infection, now that we have it around, how it is important as for people, especially with lung issues like asthma, to take care of themselves, right? It being the World Asthma Day, I think it is important and pertinent that we talk about these issues and these. If you have any questions, of course, go ahead and ask me. But let me start off by telling you a little bit more about what asthma is, right? So asthma is a disease of the airways. What do you mean by airways? Airways are the pipes which carry, or the tubes that carry air right from your nose towards your lung tissue. Okay. Now, what happens in asthma is that the airways, or these tubes, they become narrowed. Okay. When I say narrow, that means the diameter of these airways become less. Along with this, there is also a lot of inflammation that happens in the airways, and there might be a lot of mucus which is released in the airways, all resulting in a very, very tiny or small airway passage, which results in difficulty in breathing. So people who do have asthma issues typically would complain of difficulty in breathing, breathlessness, cough, and a musical sound that comes from their chest, which we call as wheeze. Okay, these will be the most common symptoms that people with asthma present with. Now, asthma can be of many kinds, right? It usually, asthma either can be a childhood onset, which means children, very, very small children, can have these narrowed airways. Typically, it is seen that this childhood asthma usually settles as the child grows up, because as the lung capacity increases, the size of the airways increases, the degree of illness, or the the symptomatology reduces as the children grow up. So there is another form, which is the adult onset, wherein adult or individuals, grown-up individuals, also show asthma symptoms, right? There are other asthmas, such as allergic asthma, that is because of certain allergies or because of certain specific allergens that breathlessness and wheezing or cough starts in certain individuals. there is an entity called as exercise induced asthma as well, which means typically asthma which is inducing once a person starts exercising. A different form of asthma which has come out is called as a cough variant asthma, which wherein most individuals with such kind of asthma would show only a dry cough as a symptom and no other symptom, as in they will not present with breathlessness or wheezing, but they would have only dry cough, and it becomes difficult to know if it's an asthma kind of a cough or some other reason for having that cough. So these are the different kind of asthmas that people may have. But the end result is that anybody who is having asthma typically has a narrowed breathing tube or airway, which results in difficulty in breathing or symptomatology such as cough or wheezing. All right. Now, what has been seen is that typically in asthma, people have triggers. What do you mean by triggers? Triggers means that people might have an asthmatic attack or an episode if they are exposed to dust, or they are exposed to pollen, or if they are exposed to very strong smells such as say paints or sprays, or even strong perfume or deodorants, or maybe some insecticides, pesticides which are sprayed around. Those kind of strong smells also tend to trigger a sense of breathlessness or constriction of the airways. Other things such as dust, very common and is everywhere, and that also is very pollution, or pollution because of say traffic or vehicular pollution also is known to cause trigger asthmatic symptoms in individuals who have this disease. Now, it's very important for us to understand that asthma is a controllable disease. What do you mean by controllable disease? That by taking right medication or use of right medication, in many ways we can control this illness, and there is no reason that people who have asthma cannot do anything that they want to. There's a lot of myths around use of inhalers. There's a lot of myths around people can't exercise, or they can't go out, or they don't do activities, and these need to be clarified, and I'll be doing it today, right? In the light of COVID-19 infection, I would want to talk a little bit more about this, because we know that COVID-19 infection, as everybody knows, it is a pandemic which is going around, the coronavirus 2019 infection. It's a viral infection which most people would present with fevers and itchy throat and cough, and many a times very severe form of illness as well, where there is breathlessness, bluish discoloration of the lips and extremities, and so on and so forth. Now, it is important for us to understand that people who are at high risk of getting this infection are those with lowered immunity, which means those who have say diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney disease, and any form of lung issues as well. So people who have asthma or say COPD are at a much higher risk of getting severe form of COVID-19 infection, and hence it's important that if you are a known asthmatic or you have asthma symptoms, then you need to take care of yourself even more, right? Which means that you have to ensure that you're taking your medicines correctly, you're in touch with your doctor regularly, and you're taking care of your immune system and building your immunity so that you do not get any severe form of illness. At the same time, following all precautionary measures that are required when pertaining to the COVID-19 infection, which we all know. So that's why it is important that we talk about these two things together today. Now, a lot of people have asked questions about allergies. So let me tackle that first, right? So allergies are quite common, especially in urban areas, in cities. A lot of people have allergies because of dust, because of pollen, because of any kind of fumigations that happen. So it's important for us to understand that allergies are here to stay. Unfortunately, it's very easy for us to say stay away from dust, but well, dust is everywhere, and hence it's very difficult for us to kind of keep away. The most important thing that people who have allergies need to do is you need to wear mask. Now, wearing mask has become a mandatory thing even if you are stepping out now because of the COVID-19 infection. So ensure that if you have known allergies, you wear masks if you're stepping out of the house. ensure that there is enough sanitization and disinfection done at home, such that there is not dust around, or particulate matter which is there floating around in your house as well. It really takes you a long way if you do these simple measures to reduce your allergic symptoms and reactions. Now, a lot of people who have allergies tend to have symptoms such as, say, runny nose, watering eyes, itchy throat, or sometimes allergic cough. A lot of people also have skin allergies, which all go hand in hand, may or may not have these symptoms. Now, few of these people may also end up having asthma kind of symptoms, such as breathlessness, cough, and wheezing. Now, it's important for you to understand that if this is so, then you have to take extra precautions so that you do not expose yourself to these allergens. Many a times you can also do allergy tests, which can help us to understand what is the specific allergen which is causing this, and then maybe a specific treatment can be given. But most commonly the treatment for allergic symptoms are anti-allergen drugs, which are given, very commonly used. Many a times there could be some nasal sprays or inhalers that may also be prescribed depending on the severity of the illness that you may have. Now, when it comes to asthma itself, the most common treatment measure that is used are inhalers. I'm sure that all of you know about inhalers. Now, there's a big myth about if I use inhaler, I'll become dependent on it, or I'll get addicted to it, or my lungs will never function after that. All of this is really, really wrong. Okay, please understand that the best treatment modality which is available for asthma is the use of inhalers, or anything which locally acts, which means any inhalation form of medication works best. Why? Because the medicine directly enters your lung, reaches there fast, acts fast, right? Any medicine that you have to take orally usually takes much more longer time for its onset of action, and would always be associated with some or the other side effect depending on what the drug is. So inhalers are the best help that you can get when it comes to asthma. Now, your doctor, if you meet your doctor and the doctor does ask you questions about how often do you get these symptoms, how does it affect your daily routine, how are you managing them, the doctor would usually prescribe you two different kinds of inhalers, right? One type of inhaler is called the rescue inhaler. What do you mean by rescue inhaler? It means that in any episode where you're feeling extremely breathless or you're suddenly wheezing, then the rescue inhaler helps in increasing the diameter of your airway or the breathing tubes, and it helps for the air to easily go in and out, right? So these are called as rescue inhalers. The other form of inhalers are usually the controllers or preventers, which means what? That these are the inhalers which help in reducing any inflammation or reducing any formation of mucus in your airways. They are wonderful in controlling or preventing any kind of attack that can happen, or reducing the symptomatology itself, right? So usually both of these are given depending on the severity of the illness. Sometimes if you have mild asthma, or you get very occasionally breathlessness, then only the rescue medicine is enough. But if your symptoms are more severe, that means you're getting more often than not symptoms of wheezing and cough or breathlessness, then you may also require a controller or preventer inhaler. But this really helps you in keeping everything in check. How does it also help? It helps so that you do not end up getting any infection, because when most of the time if you're getting repeated asthmatic attacks, you also become more prone to getting infections, be it bacterial or viral, and that can also that may also lead you to be on multiple courses of antibiotics. So it's better that your symptoms are controlled well with inhalers rather than falling sick because of infections. All right. Now, the other step that is very important is to understand how to use inhalers. Now, your doctor would very clearly tell you how to use them, give you some demonstration. You can also, these days there are wonderful videos available on the internet which tell you how to use the inhaler. It's extremely important that you use it correctly, because correct use of inhaler itself will help you in having your symptoms much in control. Okay, So ensure that your inhalers are used correctly and in the right dosage that the doctor has prescribed for you, depending on the severity of your asthma. The other most important thing that you need to remember is that you need to work on immunity building. What do you mean by that? When our immunity is in check or it is wonderful, then our symptomatologies by default become lesser. Okay, so all of us, even with asthma, it is even more important that we work on our immunity levels. But in general, also considering the COVID-19 infection is around, it is important that all of us work on our immunity. How do we work on our immunity? Is by just doing basic lifestyle changes. Our diet, I think our diet brings in a lot of changes and helps us to understand how we can build our immunity. Now, having enough amount of vitamins and minerals in our diet really help. Now, vitamin C rich foods such as, say, lemon or citrus fruits and gooseberries and guavas and things like that really help in building your immunity. They also have anti-inflammatory properties, and they relieve chronic pains. So it's extremely important that you add vitamin C in your regular diet. Vitamin A rich foods such as all the yellow foods. Now mango is in season, so do try and have some mangoes because they do have a lot of vitamin A as well. So ensure that you have foods, yellow fruits and vegetables which are rich in vitamin A. The other thing that you can do is try and get some sunlight on your skin, right? So you, of course, because you may not be able to step out often, you can still go and stand in your balcony or your terrace or any place in the house where some amount of sunlight is coming in, so that you get enough vitamin D, and that's also helpful in immunity and building your immunity. Of course, our cooking itself is great. We have a lot of immune busters and immune boosters in our diet, such as turmeric and garlic and ginger and things like that, and they really help in the long term to build our immunity. So ensure that your immunity is maintained and built high through diet. The other thing is about exercise. There's a big myth which goes around saying that asthmatics cannot exercise, and I think that we have to debust it. Asthmatics are absolutely can have as normal a lifestyle as anyone else, provided they are consistently monitored and they are using their inhalers correctly and in the right or optimal dosage that is required for them. It is, if you are exercising, then ensure that you use your rescue inhaler before you start exercising, so that you do not get breathless as you're exercising, right? Keep your intensity of exercise a little lower so that you do not get get out of breath. Okay, but this is only for those people who have a well controlled illness. If your illness is not under control, then the first thing that you need to do is talk to a doctor. I think that's extremely important. So please go ahead and do that. I think it really helps to keep in constant touch with your doctors, so that they will be able to advise you on the dosage and so on and so forth. Now, typically we say that at least, say, once in 4 months you should meet your doctor, so that there is a review of medication, or there is a review done to understand what more we can do to control the asthma. Now, apart from the inhalers, there are other medications which are also quite often prescribed. These are tablets, usually something called as anti-allergens or mast cell stabilizers. They also help in reducing your symptoms of asthma. People who have very severe form of illness may also require to be given oral corticosteroids. A steroid therapy has to be given, but that depends on the severity of illness and how serious it is. Okay. Now, it's important that at this point in time I take up a question which is about smoking. Now, a lot of people who have asked that, as an asthmatic, what should be the call when it comes to smoking. I think if you are a known case of asthma, I think it's the best thing that you can do is avoid smoking. If you have any asthmatic at home, then also, and if you are a smoker, I would say please try and avoid it, because smoke definitely causes what we call as bronchoconstriction or constriction of your airways, and that itself is any which way a pathophysiology when it comes to asthma, and it can make things very difficult for you. So best is to stop smoking or quit smoking. Smoking also causes something called as bronchitis or inflammation of the airways. So it will just add on to your asthma problem. So best is that you avoid it. All right. If you've been smoking before, then also it's a good idea to just quit it. If you want help in that, you can always talk to a counselor and a doctor who can help you by talking to you, because quitting smoking can be a little difficult and having support always helps. So do ensure that you talk about it and work towards quitting your smoking. All right. Now the other thing that a lot of people ask is I have somebody in my family who has got asthma, and would they get the COVID-19 infection? Now just to first to clarify that in COVID-19 infection, typically the coronavirus 2019 infection, the symptoms that are typically seen if you do get it is fevers and irritation in the throat or soreness in the throat, a dry cough, maybe change in your smell and taste. There could be headaches or body aches, myalgias. There could be even say tummy upset or some vomiting or nausea. So the symptomatology can be quite varied. Typically per se in asthma itself, you will not see any fever unless the person also has an infection. Okay. So that is the kind of a distinction. But what happens is, if you are an asthmatic, then because your immunity is already lower, your chances of getting an infection is that much more high. And hence, in this scenario where there is COVID-19 going around, I think it's very important for all of us to think about what we can do to prevent it, right? So if you are an asthmatic, or if you have somebody at home who's an asthmatic, the first and foremost thing that we should do is ensure that this person doesn't step out. It's the best thing to do is to try and stay indoors. If you do need to step out, then ensure that you're always wearing a mask. Okay. The other thing is, it's absolutely required to always have the rescue medicine, the rescue inhaler in your bag at all times. Like, it should be on your body, because you do not know when you may have say a breathlessness attack or a wheezing attack. So always carry your rescue inhaler in your bag. So that really, really helps. The other precautionary measures which are basically to be taken when considering that COVID-19 is going around, which means hand hygiene, I think that is something that that's a one single thing that I would keep telling everyone to follow as much as they can, right? So even if you're an asthmatic, you're not an asthmatic, you live with an asthmatic, it's a good idea for you to ensure that enough hand hygiene is followed throughout the day, multiple number of times through the day. So this has to be done. I think please follow this as much as you can. It will help you in preventing the spread of the COVID-19 infection. Ensure that you're also wearing the mask if you're stepping out, because that also prevents exposure not only to the COVID-19 infection, but to any dust or pollution or pollen or whatever is there in the air outside. That will also help in preventing it. So do wear a mask. I think if you have an asthmatic at home, I think it's very important that we have a dust-free environment. So as in COVID-19 also, we keep saying that you should keep on disinfecting and cleaning the high touch surfaces. I think that is even so true with asthma as well. So ensure that you do say a wet mopping, or so that the dust is removed from say your tabletops or your electronic gadgets, or say remote controls or drawers and cupboards and whatever is there at home, so that there is less dust basically, and it helps, and it also helps that way with the COVID-19 infection as well. So ensure that you're doing it at least say twice a day, if possible at least once a day. Get it done, because it really helps in reducing the reaction to the dust around, and it may also increase your chances of getting the asthmatic attack. So that really helps, right? So ensure that you do that. Okay. The other thing that I would recommend to be done would be to ensure that if you are doing dusting in the house, or cleaning or vacuuming in the house, or say if you're doing any disinfection, like using an insecticide spray or a pesticide spray in the house, or there is some painting going on. Do these things when the asthmatic is not around, or the asthmatic should be away, because all of these are triggers and they can make it more difficult for the asthmatic and may end up having an attack, and hence it's important that you take care of these measures. Okay. Now also the other thing is that if you have flowering plants at home, or which may bring out pollen, or there might be some smells which are coming out, and if the asthmatic does not agree to it, or like the smell is bothering, then maybe you might have to kind of take a decision to not have them around. There's a big problem that a lot of asthmatics face is because of pets, like a lot of animal fur or cat and dog dander. They also sometimes are known to increase chances of increase allergies or chances of getting an asthmatic attack. So it's a good idea to maybe think about it. Like I would not want to say don't have a pet, but then if you think that somebody is having a lot of issues because of the fur and because of the dander, then it's a good idea for us to take a decision on this, because it really it is something, if you're going to end up having a lot of asthmatic attacks, it is not helping you much. So kind of you may have to think about pets and animals around in the house as well. It could be dogs, the cats, even for that matter birds or avian friends, the pets that you may have, and they also tend to sometimes induce breathlessness or wheezing. So you may have to look into that as well. As I was mentioning about smoking, if there's anybody else in the house who smokes, and if the smoke smell is around, it tends to definitely induce or may lead to triggering an attack for someone who has asthma. So best is the choice is the best thing to the choice has to be made, and I think the best thing is to stop smoking in that sense. Right now, there are certain questions which were asked by a few people about older, elderly people. There's somebody's mother who is asthmatic and keeps getting off and on symptoms, and is feeling very worried about it. And I think it's a genuine worry. You may have either children at home or elderly people at home who are known asthmatics. There was another question about somebody who stays very close to a containment zone or a hotspot, and how do we take care of that. So I think it's a genuine worry, and I know how much concerned you are about your family member and loved one. But it's important for us to distinguish two things. One, what is in our control, right? So the first thing is that is in our control is that we ensure that is the person who is an asthmatic on the right medication, and is the person taking the right medications correctly. Okay, so I'm sure that you've spoken to your doctor, and there has been medications that are given. It could be an inhaler, which is a rescue inhaler, or a controller or a preventer inhaler. Some with children, a lot of times the doctors give a spacer or like a small tube which is there, which helps them to use the inhaler better. So talk to the doctor and understand, is the asthma optimally treated. Okay, so if that is done, that is something which is in our control, and if that is done, that itself is half the battle won, right? The other thing is, if you do have symptoms, always talk to the doctor quickly, right? So that if there's anything new happening, it's a good idea to just converse with the doctor and understand if there is a little bit of change in the medication that can be done. The other thing is that it's about precautionary measures that you need to take when it comes to the COVID-19 infection as well. So as we discussed, always wear a mask. The person who is stepping out of the house should be the one who should take the most care, right? So not everybody has to step out, especially elderly people. We even say now also, please do not step out. It's not required for you to step out unless it's absolutely necessary. Similar for the children as well. So if you are an adult in the house taking care of an elderly or a young asthmatic, you need to take special precaution yourself, because if you're the one who's stepping out to say buy essentials or going to the office outside now that the lockdown has been brought down, then you need to ensure that you wear masks regularly, sanitize or clean your hands regularly, ensure that you maintain social distancing, you take care of your health and not bringing in any infection, because most probably the port of infection, if somebody has to get, would be from the person who steps out of the house, right? So take care of that. So see, though I understand that you're worried about your mother, or you may be worried about your children, but we need to understand that worry itself can make make life difficult for all of us, right? So what we need to focus on is what is in our hand. Taking medications, using the inhaler correctly is in our hand. Taking precautionary measures to ensure that you do not bring in the infection home is in our hand. So let us try and do this first, right? If we are able to take care of this, and then most probably we may not have to worry about say getting the infection, or what would happen if we do get the infection, right? So so that is one of the things that I would want to talk about, because these are pertinent worries a lot of people have about people who are already having asthma. Okay, now there is another question which has come about will asthma increase the severity of the COVID-19 infection? I think I've already answered this in some level, because yes, asthma does tend to lower your immunity, right? So people who have lowered immunity typically would have more serious form of the COVID-19 infection. So as we spoke about it before as well, that very serious symptoms of COVID-19 could be things like severe breathlessness. There could be loose discoloration of your lips and extremities. There could be very high heart rate. There could be inability to talk, and people may pass out. So these serious symptoms are seen more if you have any reason for a lowered immunity. Now, asthma is one of those reasons. Other things can be, as we had discussed, in heart disease or kidney disease, or say diabetes, high blood pressure. These all can also cause lowered immunity, and hence more serious form of COVID-19 infection. So it's important for us to know that. And if you are an asthmatic, as I said, ensure that you talk to your doctor, see that your asthma is optimally controlled. Why is it important? Because asthma is a controllable disease. You can take it's like this, right? If you take the medicines correctly, then you can lead as normal a life as anybody. But if you do not take the medicines correctly, or use the inhalers correctly, then you may have symptoms, and that can kind of affect your day-to-day living, right? So that's the reason why it's important that you kind of keep following the instructions and by the doctor, and also keep following up with your doctor on a regular basis, right? Now there's a question which was there about how to distinguish between asthmatic breathing issue and COVID-19 breathing issue. Very difficult to kind of distinguish as such, but history will give us a lot, because typically people who have asthmatic breathing difficulty would have a history of asthma. Most of these people, if they don't have an infection, then they will not have a fever, versus with a COVID-19 infection, typically there will be a history of fever, there would be a history of travel, or history of contact with a confirmed case of COVID-19. So kind of the history will tell us a lot more about what kind of what kind of a breathlessness issue it is. Breathlessness by itself is a symptom which can happen because of many reasons, asthma and COVID-19 both as well. So it's very difficult to kind of distinguish if this is a breathlessness because of asthma versus COVID-19. However, the history will tell us a lot more about it, and it's always a good idea for us to know that, and give it also if you need to talk to if you need to go to a doctor, then they will ask you these questions. So definitely go ahead and talk to the doctor in that sense. All right. There was another question which was asked, was a question about there are occasional symptoms. Now, this is a person who is a 30-year-old person, and they get off and on symptomatology, like that. Typically there are more allergic symptoms. He says that my condition goes worse, like sneezing, or rubbing nose, or itchy eyes, or blocked nose, but usually this is more in the morning and gets better through the day. This is quite common with allergies, right? So typically allergic symptoms are more severe in the morning hours, because it's much cooler then, or there might be more particulate matter in the air then. And these allergies are typically seen as watery eyes, runny nose, itchy throat, sometimes itchy rash on the skin, and so on and so forth. And they, over a period of time through the day, as the temperatures increase and becomes more hot and hot, then symptoms get better. So typically in such symptomatology, your doctor would want to advise you with some anti-allergic medication, may also give you some nasal sprays to help you in relieving your symptoms. However, the doctor would also ask you to ensure that you keep up with your immunity, eat right, exercise, ensure that you sleep well, de-stress yourself so that you are able to keep up with your immunity and hopefully do not have as much severe symptoms as you may be having currently. Now the other thing is also allergies are also quite known to be quite seasonal. What do you mean by seasonal is that most people would see allergies either it could be throughout the year or a lot of times seen only in pockets, which means typically in cold season or say when the pollution is too much, say in certain festival times. That could be also something that may present. So if you have seasonal variation, then it's a good idea for you to kind of get to your doctor, and if you know that there is a pattern to it, then a lot of doctors may preemptively prescribe you with certain medicines so that you do not get very severe form of symptomatology, and you can just follow these medicines for a couple of months and then things get better, and the season changes, and then you can be rest assured. But if it's a perennial problem or it is there throughout the year, then maybe a very small dose of medication might be required, which you can take, or you can take a SOS form of drug also, but it needs to be examined, and the doctor needs to talk to you more to understand your symptomatology before they would be able to give you a right medicine for this. Okay, now the other there was another question which had come up about what is cough variant asthma. Now this is a very interesting form of asthma which is present, right? So mostly people who have asthma come up with symptoms of wheezing. Wheezing is like a musical sound that you get from the chest because of narrowed airways or narrowed breathing tubes. Some people, other people would have breathlessness, and some people also, and with cough. Now in cough variant asthma, people have a symptom of only a dry cough. There is no other symptom. They don't have wheezing or breathlessness. So sometimes it becomes a little difficult to kind of diagnose this because they end up having a dry cough, and a lot of times we think it might be just an allergic cough, but it turns out to be a cough variant asthma, and they really respond well with inhalers. But usually tests are done to understand what it is. There is a test called as pulmonary function test or a spirometry test, wherein the doctor would, the technician would ask you to blow very intensely in through a pipe, and then see the readings or how is your lung capacity, and then there are certain numbers which come out which tells us that what kind of illness it is. And it can help us to diagnose and also help us to know medications that can be given in considering the diagnosis, right? There's a question which has come up, is there any permanent solution for asthma? Unfortunately, no. Asthma is a controllable disease. We can control it very well with medication, to the point that it can be controlled to such a point where there are no symptoms at all. However, there is currently no treatment as such for asthma, but people who have asthma can do as pretty much everything that a person who doesn't have it can do. They can exercise, they can dance, they can do any activity that they may want to do. People who have been asthmatics have also done mountaineering and climbed Everest as well. So it's not that it cannot be done, but the symptoms have to be in check. Medications need to be taken. Understand that these medicines really do not have any serious side effects. They only help you to get better, provided you use the locally acting ones, which means the inhalers. So it's a good idea for you to talk to your doctor more about inhalers, because they really help in preventing the symptoms, and also and also they don't cause any serious side effects. So do talk to your doctor more about inhalers. You can read up more about it as well, so that you can discuss with your doctor. But they definitely help you in the long term to to give you benefit and reducing your symptoms, so that you can lead a perfectly healthy life. Okay, so in terms of understanding asthma and COVID-19 itself, I would again want to reiterate that asthma being a controllable disease one needs to be on regular medication. One needs to ensure that they are following their medications and the dosage that has been given correctly. They need to keep in contact with their doctor often. They need to ensure that they keep up with their immunity. They need to keep their immunity up high by taking right diet, regular exercises, seeing that they drink enough water, de-stress themselves. These are important things. There was a question which had come up, which talked about, can one exercise? And I think I would want to stress on this point that there is no reason why anybody cannot exercise, provided they have spoken to their doctor and the doctor has examined them and then given them the right medication and are on optimal dosage of inhalers. There is no reason why you can't exercise. A lot of emphasis has been provided on doing breathing techniques, use of yoga to help in increasing the lung capacity. So if you can learn breathing techniques, learn different forms of breathing, so that you are able to increase your lung capacity and open up your airways better, and help you in doing a better keeping your lungs much more open and healthy. So that is something that you can follow. So in terms of keeping immunity up, I think these are very important things to do besides your diet and your de-stressing and drinking lots of water. So as an asthmatic, I think it's very important that you do all of these also of course help you with your preventing you from getting the COVID-19 infection. So ensure that you are following all these regularly. Okay. It's also important that you follow all preventive measures for COVID-19. If you are if you are known to have asthma, or if you have anybody at home who has asthma as well, I think it's extremely important for hand hygiene and use of mask. I think these are two things that you must do. Now that the lockdown has been brought down in many states, and people are again getting back to work, I think it's extremely important that you take care of these measures, so that we are sure that you do not fall sick, right? So it's important. Also follow up with your doctor to be sure that the dosage of inhaler that you're taking is correct. Okay. Remember that there are two kinds of inhaler. One is the rescue and one is the controller or preventer. The rescue inhaler, I think, is something that you should carry at all times in your bag. So talk to your doctor about it. I think it's important, because you never know when you would feel a sense of breathlessness, or you may have a wheeze. So use it. Have it in your bag, or have it on you in your pocket, so that it should be always with you. So it's a simple trick to ensure that you have a backup for yourself if you do pick up some symptoms suddenly, because asthmatic attacks can happen anywhere, because you might be exposed suddenly to a trigger, like there is a lot of dust and you may suddenly feel a sense of breathlessness. Then it is important that you have this medicine on you, and hence carrying the rescue inhaler with you is a good idea. Okay. The other things that are important when it comes to asthma is that keeping your environment as much dust free as possible, and preventing any forms of triggers. I think that's extremely important. So triggers can be anything from dust pollen to strong smells or paints, and sprays or insecticides, and so on and so forth. A lot of times it could be the workplace itself. Like a lot of people might be working in industries, or where there are strong chemicals, or they might be working in garment industries, where there are these lots of the air is filled with a lot of cotton or dust, and it can also trigger asthma. So if you are in certain professions where there is you're exposed to certain triggers, then maybe we need to think about how that can also be changed, right? There's a question which somebody asked right now, is that are asthmatics most susceptible to suffer COVID-19? Yes, as I explained to you just a while back, that people who are asthmatic tend to have a little bit of lowered immunity. Now, because of this, the risk of exposure might be the same, right? So if there are 10 people who are exposed to, say, the COVID-19 infection, the risk of having the disease might be the same, but the severity of illness, which means that if somebody who doesn't have an asthma may get milder symptoms of COVID-19, but somebody who has asthma and lowered immunity may get a more serious form of COVID-19 infection. What does it mean? That simple, mild COVID-19 infection can be a simple maybe fever, a mild throat irritation, and a mild cough, and they will get better. But there are certain people who might also who might have severe form of illness when their immunity is lowered, like people who have asthma. They could also have breathlessness, wheezing, tightness in the chest, blue discoloration of the lips and extremities. So these are the things that can happen specifically because your immunity might be a little lower, considering you may have asthma, right? So chances of getting the disease might be the same, but the severity of illness definitely is much higher because of the lowered immunity in asthma. Okay, and this is something which is true not just for people who have asthma, but for other illnesses as well, like people who have COPDs, or some people who have diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, kidney disease. So it's important that if you have any chronic disease, right? What do you mean by chronic? Something which is there with you for a very long time. If you have any chronic disease, it is important that you take extra precaution, you take extra care. Ensure that your chronic disease is optimally treated. Be in regular follow-ups with your doctor to ensure that all your chronic diseases are managed well and your symptomatology are very, very less, so that you are at the same risk level as anybody else when it comes to COVID-19, right? Somebody said that as an inhaler user, I was prevented from using scuba diving. Is that correct? It depends on, so a lot of people have different, by itself, I don't think there's any problem. But what happens when you're specifically going under the water, you're already exposed to a very severe pressure, because the pressure from inside the body and the outside the body is different because you're under the water, and hence there could be much more a narrowing of the airways. So if you have been on an inhaler, they are wanting to be much more safer and hence not allowing you to go under the water. But if your symptomatology has been very well in control and you have not used your inhaler in over a year's time, a lot of people actually go into remission where they don't need to use even a rescue inhaler for long periods of time. You may want to give it a try, but it's very difficult to kind of ascertain if your lung is able to take the pressure changes, and hence the reason that many a times they do not allow, and that's one of the safety what can you say, it's more in your safety that they would not allow you to do it. However, if you have been asymptomatic for a very long time, I think you can talk to them, get a certificate from your doctor, and then go ahead and get the go ahead with your scuba diving. So that is possible, but you would need a certificate for that, and it depends on how long you have remained asymptomatic with asthma. Okay, so great. So I hope that answers your question. So as I was mentioning about what we need to do when it comes to asthma and about increasing immunity, I think one of the other things that I would want to mention again is about smoking, because smoking really pulls down your immunity. It constricts your airways quite a bit, and I think that is the one single thing that I would want to advise people is to quit smoking if you are an asthmatic, and well, quit it any which way, because it doesn't help you much. But at the same time, if you have an asthmatic at home, I think that also is a reason for people to quit smoking, because the smell or the nicotine itself can trigger an asthmatic attack if somebody, either an elderly or a young person at home, is there and they are suffering from asthma. So do take care of that, I feel, and it's very important for us to work on it, right? So just to kind of summarize, I would want to say that asthma is a controllable disease, right? So I think it's very important for all of us to remember that as it is a controllable disease, it requires close monitoring. One needs to ensure that there is enough and close monitoring that is done. Optimal treatment is done, use of inhaler and the technique of using of inhaler is followed well. Immunity levels are kept high by taking the right measures in terms of diet, exercise, de-stressing and water intake. In general, precautionary measures to be taken when it comes to exposure to triggers such as, say, dust, pollen, chemicals and so on and so forth, ensuring that there is a dust-free environment and enough sanitization and cleanliness kept indoors when in house, ensuring hand hygiene, and use of mask if you are stepping out. So these few things, if we follow, there is no reason why we can't be on top of it. Asthma is a disease that is very much in our control as long as we do the right thing. Take care of yourself, stay safe, stay indoors, stay healthy, keep smiling. If you have any other questions, do let me know. I'm more than happy to answer. And till then, take care and goodbye. Thank you.